This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to look at some viewer work today, but this is going to be a little unconventional to start out with. I want to share with you this. So, this is a zine, believe it or not, and I have some concerns. Normally when I film these videos, I shoot all my B-roll first, and then I'm able to talk about things, and I can roll that over the top. This actually comes to us from Ludvig Perez, and this is the most unusual zine I think I have ever come across. So I'm going to pull the little tag out here. It says, "Please unravel this rose, Ludvig." So I had some concerns that this will probably not go back together because the folding on here is like, this is like origami. This is incredible. So we're going to pull this out. So this is the zine. It's a zine as a rose. So we're going to open this up. Oh my goodness. I am very curious as to what this is going to look like. I mean, I have seen some advanced folding jobs, but this is next level. So, all right, we end up with a one-image zine, sort of. We've got rose on the back with the petals around it, and on the front, barbed wire in the city. Ludvig, this is incredible. I'm really blown away. I don't think I have this whole thing. Oh, I don't. Look at this. There's more. It's two. Let me keep these in order best I can. All right, so there's 4 pages here. Okay, I can actually roll this. Check this out. This is absolutely amazing. There's images, there's narrative in here. This is really good. Okay, Ludvig, I want to make a comment on here. I have no criticisms of this at all, other than I think it's just fantastic. And let me add this. There are times where something like this, if it were sent in, could probably feel like a gimmick. This does not. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. A lot of it has to do with what you get to when you finally get inside the rose. And yes, I was correct. I will probably never get this folded back how it was when it came out. But man, this is outstanding. So the other thing I'm going to direct you guys to is I will put a link to his website below. He does say in the note that he started watching my channel 10 years ago. It was very inspiring. And now 10 years later, he's finished his BA in photography and been part of a number of exhibits. He does more of this kind of work. And so I'm going to link up to his website. This is unbelievably cool, man. Congratulations. And man, call me blown away. This is really awesome. I kind of like the concept of like you get to open it and experience it one time. It's got some fragility to it. It's much like the metaphor of the rose. That's incredible. Well, we started with the bar pretty high, but we are going to move forward. And by the way, I do want to mention one thing. If you guys are interested, I do an online workshop on making zines. And if you're interested in getting feedback from me personally, this is a really good way to do it. These run for a month long. We meet once a week, and it is project-based, so you'll have assignments each week. The third week, we do not meet as a large group on Zoom. We will meet in small groups on Zoom, and you will get some one-on-one time to go through your project with me. So I've got 2 of these coming up. First one starts June 7th. The second one is July 26th. If you're interested, I will drop a link in the show description below, so check it out. But we're going to follow that up with this book, which is based in Japan, which is a subject near and dear to my own heart. This comes to us from Louise Alvarez Sto, who writes to me, "Dear Ted, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Louise. I'm a New York City photographer and author of my new photo book titled A Yume Within 2 Weeks. It's about my trip to Japan, exploring as much as I could within 2 weeks of photographing my experiences. Everything you see in the book was taken in that period. It was my first visit to Japan, a dream I had since I was 13 years old. The book is filled with multiple genres of photography, a mixture of color and black and white photographs. It's very special to me, and I would like to share it with you specifically since you recently did work within Japan as well. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. I am looking forward to hearing your thoughts." So Louise, I really do like your approach to this book. It's very interesting how you chose to do the layout. I mean, everything in here is full bleed, which I've mentioned before. I do like to see some borders now and then, but I mean, you know, you're owning it, and I'll give you that. It's very nicely done. I like the way you bounce back and forth between color and black and white. And I like your color interpretation, particularly on your night shots. It's very interesting to me. So the only criticism that I have on here, and this isn't really that negative, and I don't want you to take it that way at all. I love the fact that this has been a dream of yours since you were 13 that you wanted to do this. And I love the fact that you made it happen. That's a long trip, especially from New York. I know it's not cheap to go over there, and it's a big deal. In my own experience with Japan, I am fascinated with the culture, and one of the things that I have found the 3 times that I've been there, and I plan on doing a lot more work there, is that the more you start to uncover, the deeper you find that culture goes. It is very unlike what I grew up with and what I know as a citizen of the United States. Now, having said that, I think you did a wonderful job in here. It looks like you were imposing street photography that you would do in New York onto Japan. That is not a bad thing at all. I would like to see you dig a little deeper, and I hope you find ways to go back and actually explore it further. And I'm going to quote somebody on this because most of you know the great photographer Sebastião Salgado passed away this last week at the age of 81. He was a big hero of mine and one of the smartest, most talented, most incredible photographers, and I don't want to compare you to him, but I'm going to tell you a little quote that he said that rang true with me. He said two things. The first thing that you need to understand when you're going to be a photographer is what he calls total identification. And I think you have that. The whole idea of total identification is that you have a cultural, visual language, something that you have to say on a subject. This has been a desire of yours. I certainly see that throughout this book. But then he has a second part to that. And the second part is that you must have total identification with the society that you're trying to photograph. The photos must have meaning. You must have something to say about a society, especially if it's a lot different than your own, in order for all that to come around and come complete with you as a photographer. And I don't mean to be overcritical of you, and I'm definitely not holding anybody up to the standard of probably the greatest contemporary photographer of our lifetime. But I would like to see you dig deeper. I think this is a wonderful start, and it will be interesting to see your work evolve as you're able to make that happen. I think you're an incredible street photographer, and I think that you have something that would work well in New York, and it's sort of, to me, imposed onto Japan, which works. It's a lot of subways, it's a lot of bicycles and people on the street, but I would like to see you dig into the culture just a little bit more, and I hope that you get a chance to do that. Anyway, wonderful job. The book is very well printed. You did an excellent job on this, criticisms aside. You should be very proud. And if you guys are interested in this and want to see more and get a copy for yourself, I'll link it up in the show description below. But awesome job, Louise. Okay, I've got a couple more projects that I want to share with you, but real quick, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor today who make these mail time videos happen. They are the always awesome folks over at Squarespace. How easy is it to build an amazing website in a matter of minutes? Squarespace has you covered. It's dead simple. Head over to Squarespace, hit get started. You can start by using Squarespace Blueprint AI and SEO tools, which will give you an impressive website in no time. Something unique because, you're not like other websites. Give your site a name. Next, you can build your homepage. We'll start with a few preset layouts just to get us going. Want to sell products like prints, books, maybe you make a zine? Well, you can feature those on your homepage. Create a few more sections if you want. Let's also give it a color palette. There's a whole bunch to choose from. Just get us started. We can change this all later. Next, let's select the typography choices. Welcome to your website. Everything is set up and it's all ready for you to customize. Squarespace is built on Fluid Engine, the next generation of website design. Select Edit, and Fluid Engine allows you to drag, place, and resize any element on the page. You can snap these to a grid. You can make them float on top of one another. You can freeform however you like. You can even preview and adjust how the site looks on either desktop or mobile. The layouts are independent. Of course, you'll want a portfolio for your work. Creating an image gallery is as easy as dropping a folder of images on your web browser. Once uploaded, you can drag to resort, customize the look, and Squarespace writes all of the code for you. Everything just works and it looks fabulous. Want to sell your own prints, books, or zines? Flexible payments allow you to make the checkout process absolutely seamless when you sell products or services. You can accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, you can offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. You should try Squarespace for yourself. It's absolutely free, no credit card required. Just go to squarespace.com/AOP, sign up for that free trial. If you decide Squarespace is right for you, I can save you an additional 10% on your order by using offer code AOP on checkout. That's right, the code is AOP. So stop procrastinating, go build your website today. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. All right, so next up is this project, which comes to us from Brandon, and Brandon has a title on here, but it's in graffiti. Somebody else may be able to make this out. But anyway, he includes a note, and he says in here, "Hey Ted, I love your videos on photo books. This is not a request for one. I'd honestly love some unbiased feedback, though. There was little interest in this book, and so it only sold a few copies. I can't afford to buy them in low quantity, so I'm not looking forward to promoting it anymore. This book is just a small token of appreciation for the positive influence that you've had on my life. I wish that you nothing but continual prosperity, peace, and happiness. Brandon. Brandon, I know that you guys don't ask to be in here, but when you ask for feedback, well, you sent me the book, and I'd love to give you some. I think the book is pretty well done. I like the design in here, the layout. The subject is one that you clearly have a lot of access to the subject matter, and I find it interesting. The only criticisms that I would have on this would be two things. One, you have such a volume of photographs in here that I'm overwhelmed by the subject, and so I'm losing a little bit of the narrative or the storyline. And I think that if you were able to pare this down and maybe work with somebody to help you edit the photographs that you're going to include in here, you might have a little more success with that. The only other thing, and you probably know that I'm going to say this, but you get to a point in this book where I know you're trying to maximize layout and you're trying to maximize space, but when I get stuff like this, where all of a sudden I have to turn the book one way to see one image clearly and turn it the other way to see another one, this becomes a little bit cumbersome, and I talk about that all the time. I know people don't always agree with that in the comments I see, but for me, a book has to fulfill a certain type of thing, and a lot of people want to come at bookmaking and impose their own agenda into it, and I think that you have to be very careful when you do that. I think there are creative ways to do things, most certainly, but I do want to give you some feedback, and I'm just judging by the tone of your note here, something that makes me a little bit sad. I'm going to read this again. Was you said that you tried to sell this, there was very little interest, it only sold a few copies, and you can't afford to buy them in low quantity, so you're not looking for promoting it. This makes me a little bit sad because I think you've given up on your book, man. And I don't like that. I make these videos, I'm going to speak very much from the heart here. The entire reason that I started doing mail time videos, I didn't start them to do them. A couple of people had sent me things, and in the spirit of celebrating creativity and the fact that people put their heart and soul into making something, I put them up here. People ask me for critiques. I just give you my honest opinion. Sometimes it may not be the best opinion, but it's just the one that I have. I can't give you another opinion. That would be somebody else who might be able to do that. So I try to keep these from the heart as much as possible. And what makes me sad is that you've kind of given up on here. And I want to talk about this for just a second, because the benchmark that seems to be happening here is that you made a comment in here that it didn't sell well, so you're not looking to promote anymore. You can't afford to buy it in low quantity. I get that. Those are all parts of bookmaking. To get high quantity, that's where you get your price break. But if your objective is to sell the book, and maybe you're not feeling this way, I know this is a one-way conversation here. If the objective is to sell it, you've got to come at it from in a completely different direction. You've got to create something that an audience wants to buy. Who is your audience? What story are you telling? And then you create around that. Now, that's different than making art. Those are two completely different things. One is you're making something with the objective of it being sold, and you can make art that way, but it just has to satisfy a group of people who would be willing to buy that book, and then you have to find a way to promote it, and all that stuff is very difficult. So I hope that's not how you're taking this. I'm promoting your book, and if there's an audience out there who's interested in here, I'll link it up in the show description below. We'll find this online. I have limited information that you've given me here, so if I can, I will. But I hope that's not the case. And so it's hard for me to give you criticisms on layout and volume of photographs and all those things. You know, I would have your name on here too. I would have the title a little more clear. So anyway, I'm just saying those are two different objectives. And bookmaking is difficult because bookmaking involves investment where you're going to have to get these reproduced, and you're going to have to find a printer, and you're going to have to find a quantity and a volume, and you know all these things. But anyway, I just wanted to say that because I try to be as inspirational as possible with these. That's the whole point of Mail Time. It is not to over-criticize people's work. I hope it doesn't come off sounding that way sometimes. I'm just trying to give constructive feedback. Nothing is ever perfect. I make no perfect photographs. I make no perfect books. I make no perfect projects. We all have room where we could grow. And that's the exciting thing about being a photographer, is that you have this goalpost that keeps moving. If you were able to succeed and you could be the next Sebastian Salgado or Ralph Gibson or whoever that is overnight, that would be very different. It probably wouldn't be very exciting either. It's like, okay, mission accomplished. It's like when you finish a video game or a book or anything else, then you're done. You move on to something else. Photography is not that. Photography is a lifelong pursuit of something that is meaningful in a visual sense that communicates other ideas to people. And so anyway, I probably have overdone this, Brandon, but I just was a little sad the way your note was written there. And I hope that is not the case with you. I think the subject matter is very interesting. It is one that a lot of people don't have access to, that you clearly do. And I think that being able to stand behind a project like this and continue it is important. And I don't want you to equate book sales as success on something. That's all I'm saying. So, man, you should actually be proud of this project. I know these photos were not easy to get, and you've done an excellent job. So, congratulations, man. That was heavy, guys. Sorry. But I mean, that is the point. When we do mail time, it's to celebrate creativity. It's to celebrate just these little mementos of where we are in our creative and artistic journeys. And it's about how to move forward in a cool way. So anyway, I'm going to do one more here. This is called Growth. This comes to us from Jake, who writes, "Hi Ted, my name is Jake Whitting. I am a sports photographer in San Diego, California. I have been shooting for just shy of 5 years, but have worked hard to build up my portfolio in that time. I would not consider myself a professional, as this is more of a side hustle and truly a passion. I would love to one day be a full-time sports photographer for a wire or team with a focus on portraits. This book is a collection of my work from 2024, and I feel like the biggest leap in my growth yet. It was a fun project for me to undertake, and I hope it demonstrates my portfolio coming to life in a new way. Jake." Well, Jake, let me just say that for somebody who's been shooting for that short of amount of time, just as a side hustle, your work looks really good, and I like what you're doing in here. The only comment that I would make, and I think this is the intention here, is this does feel like a portfolio to me. And I think one thing that might be interesting to explore, and this is much like the last book that I was talking about from Brandon, is that you might have... Well, there's a lot in here. And when I get spreads that consists of 4 different images, it starts to be a lot to look at, and there's a lot of information here. I'm not saying that's bad, but it feels like a portfolio. I think that what I would do if I were you and you're interested is I would actually cull this down, be very critical, be real hard on yourself, and well, not hard on yourself in that you're going to push it further, but hard on yourself in that you're editing your photos down into just the necessary components, into your absolute very best work. Don't show people everything, just show them the very best. Or this next year, one thing you might choose is concentrate on maybe one sport in particular and try and give me a little more narrative and a little more build in terms of the book. Because right now, this looks like a portfolio of images. Now, having said that, I do live on the art side of the world and not the practical or publication side or commercial side. So there may be people who look at this and they're just going to try to get an idea of your portfolio. And in that sense, I think the book functions perfectly. You did ask me for my opinion, and that would be it, is I would try to tell a little more story with this stuff. But your work looks good, man, so congratulations. You should be proud. I will list everybody in the show description below, and I want to thank everybody for having the courage to send projects in. And I will catch you in the next video. If you have any comments, drop them below. I'll see you then. Later.